Hey guys, so I got inspired by yesterday's stream about Canvas render targets, and one of the new features from 4.13 that allows you to get the UV coordinates from a hit point. So this is the first person template example. So I built a little system here where I can shoot and now paint on my surface. And as you can see, when you get close, it also deforms the surface. So this works on all sides. And you can see it's also getting, if I hit, it's also getting the direction. So it's carving in kind of like that. And there was a question about yesterday on the forums about if this would affect GPU sprite collision. So you can see it's colliding nicely here. If I shoot a lot of holes here, you can actually see it starts to deflect in all kinds of directions. So it's actually affecting it anyway, which I didn't think it would. But you can actually see it's passing through the box here, or whatever it is. So that's pretty cool. So what I'm doing, let me just explain a few things what I did with this. I'm using a base brush color and a deform brush material. So the base also allows me to, for example, set a bullet hole. I have alpha and opacity here. So if I switch that out, then I can shoot with bullet holes instead, with the deformation from, well, it's kind of a paint splatter pattern I just downloaded. So it doesn't really match, but anyway, it works. And if we take a look at the construction script for this one, actually I put it in here. If I draw an initial texture onto here, then it works also on that, which could maybe be used for something, although as I said, it's not something you want to overuse because it's quite resource intensive. But it opens up a few possibilities. So one thing I discovered that is gonna be quite a challenge is that this will not work for things that would be mobile because it's affecting the world normal. So when I'm shooting here, I'm painting basically in a world normal offset by using the deform brush here. So I have a hit angle which I feed in with the direction that I'm hitting into the emissive color, and then I use that to feed into the world position offset. So if the object is going to rotate, that's going to affect the look of this, and since I don't alter the texture itself, then it's gonna look funky. So that's kind of a limitation so far. I can't really figure out if there's a way to go around this. So let me just switch this material out. Let's see if I can figure out how I did that. If I switch this to translucent and I take my alpha channel here and feed in here, I think. Or not. What am I missing? My deform brush is set to additive. I think it should maybe be translucent. I think that should be it. Yep. Then it allows me to shoot holes in it. So if this was a very thin wall, it could be used for something. One thing we'll notice here is that they are actually passing the particles here, they are passing through, but if we go to the other side, we can't see through it. So that's kind of a, well, it's, as you know, it's a trick. So it's not really working. And something funky is going on. It looks like the particles are passing behind. Huh, interesting. Oh well. Yeah, well, as I said, it's a little trick and doesn't really work too well with a thing like this. Although I could maybe do something like shoot a trace, multi-line by trace, and then punch a hole on this side, and then on the exit point invert the normal and then punch a hole the other way, and I'll just make another hole. I think I'm actually going to try that out. And that way it's going to punch a hole all the way through. But as you can see from the sides here, it's not going to look good. So I would have to replace it with something, some kind of geometry, and still, then again, I would have to fit that in with the existing stuff, and that's maybe gonna cause some problems. But anyway, just a bunch of ideas. So with that out of the way, yeah. Yeah, well, let me know if you have questions to how I built this. This was actually, after I got a hang of it, pretty straightforward. All of this stuff is actually found inside the content examples. So it's just a matter of going through that and taking a look how that is done. And then picking up a hit normal. That's kind of basic. Feeding it into the vector parameter for the hit angle. And that was actually one thing I did have a few issues with, aside from getting that render target thing to work, because I haven't worked with it before. But it was actually because I was missing something. Was not converting. I was missing the set canvas material scale and position. So I kept getting something actually on the bottom, so I missed it completely all the time. But the thing is, inside my first person projectile sorry, is that I'm actually tried initially to just pull out the hit information here, but it didn't really give me what I wanted for some reason. So what I do instead is actually to do a manual line trace, just 100 units forward, and then I pull out the, notice here I have trace complex on. If I didn't have that, it didn't, this find UV collision didn't return anything. So yeah, so what I did was just to take this trace start and end, reversed, normalize, and then feed it into the hit normal, and then call apply hit. So that's basically what I did. So there's nothing really magic about this. It's just, yeah, good fun to play with, I would say. Okay, hope you enjoyed, and bye bye.